Hello everyone. The objective of today's video is to learn how to use proportions to solve questions involving percents. There are many different ways of solving percent questions, and proportions is one of them. And I'm focusing in on the proportion method because later on in algebra you're going to have to solve equations with the variables x and y and stuff like that in there that are going to need proportions to solve them. And if you make yourself familiar with the method of solving proportions with the easier proportions like this, it won't be so hard when you go into the further parts of algebra there. All right, what is the proportion question we're looking at here? We're looking at something like this. What is 10% of 95? You get a lot of questions that are like this. A lot of questions that may be lengthy word questions, which all boil down to a question like this: what is 10% of 95? And the two proportions you might have seen before, might be working with, is over of equals percent over 100, or part over whole equals percent over 100. And we're going to look at both of them today. But before we look at those two proportions, we're going to take a moment to think about fractions. When you've got a fraction is part over the whole. The whole circle here has 4 sections. The part that's shaded is 3. Part over whole represents the fraction being shown here. And if you think about percent to decimal, when you convert a percent to a decimal, you divide by 100. So converting this 75% to a decimal would be dividing it by 100. That's a fraction. So I went straight from a percent to a fraction. And that fraction, as it turns out, is going to be equal to this number, because 75% of this circle is 3/4. Those two are equal. So we can work out a proportion where we've got an equal percentage and an equal fraction, and we use that proportion to solve. There are the two proportions again. Is over of equals percent over 100. Part over whole equals percent over 100. Let's focus in on the is over of first. When you've got a word problem, you need to identify the percent first. Okay, so the percent's easy to identify. It's always going to be the one with the percent sign after it, or the word percent after it. Then you need to identify the of. That's the second easiest one to find. To find the of, you find the number that comes after the word of. It's always going to be after the word of. Now the is the hardest. That's why you leave it till last. The is could either be the number in front of or behind the word is. Is could be in a different form. It could be are instead of is. That's why you leave it till last. Once you identify the percent, the of, and the is, you create the proportion. Filling in the is, of, and percent. The bottom part of the percent is always going to be 100. To solve, you would cross multiply, set the cross products equal, and solve for the unknown. The unknown is going to be a variable, x, and it's going to be in the word problem, it's going to be the word what. So whenever you see the word what, it's a variable. So here we are at a word problem, one we saw before. We need to fill in the is over of equals percent over 100. We identify the percent first. There's the percent sign. The number in front of it is a 10. That's our percent. So we put the 10 over 100. Then we identify the of. Here's the word of. And next to the word of is the 95. So the 95 goes in the bottom of this fraction here. Then we need to identify the is. Now, after the word is, we have the 10%. We've already used that. Before the word is the word what. What is our variable, so we're going to put in an x for that. So the is in this turn is the unknown, it's going to be the x. Cross multiply. 95 times 10 is 950. 100 times x is 100x. Set those two equal to each other. 100 times x, to solve for x, we do the opposite of times, which is divide. So we divide by 100, which gives us 9.5 is equal to x. Because these cancel, and that gives you 9.5. Moving on to another example. here we have 5 is what percent of 20? What percent? What percent? There's the word percent. The number that comes before it is the what. So in this case, our x is our percent, and it goes over the 100. Of 20. The number after the word of is the 20, so it goes in the position down below here. Is, well, we've already used the what, so it's got to be the 5. Cross multiply. We get 20 times x is 20x. 5 times 100 is 500. Divide by the 20, and we get x is equal to 25. And in this case, since the unknown was a percent, we have to put the percent sign on the end here. So we get x is 25%. Don't forget those percent signs on the questions they ask for the percent. Here's another word problem, a little bit lengthier. There are 285 students in the 7th grade. 30% of the 7th graders got food poisoning at Casa de Burger. How many students got sick? All right, this one's not so easy with the is over of. So maybe we need to look at that other one. The part over whole equals percent over 100. Well, part over whole equals percent over 100. The part. Well, the part is what we're looking for. We're looking for how many students got sick. It's not all the students. It's only 30% of them. So that's a part of the students. So that's what we're looking for. The percent, again, easy to identify, is the 30. So that 30 goes over the 100. The whole is all of the 7th graders. And they gave us the total, which is 285. Part over whole, percent over 100. Cross multiply. 30 times 285 gives me 8,550. And yes, you can use a calculator to get that. 100 times x gives you 100x. Divide by 100 to solve from here. And you get x is equal to 85.5. Can you have half a student? Not really. So it's 86 students. Round up accordingly there. Now I know I've told you in the past, show at least 2 decimal places, but you can't have a percent, you can't have a decimal part of a person, so it doesn't make sense to have decimals in the answer in this particular case. Now I want you to do these problems. I've got 3 problems here. Pause the video, try these problems out, round your answers to the nearest hundredth. All right, we're back. Let's take a look at 8% of 90. That is x over 90 equals 8 over 100. Cross multiply. You get 100x is equal to 720. Divide by 100 to solve from here. And you get x is equal to 7.2. That one has nothing to do with people, it's just a number, so it's okay to leave the decimal in this case. It says round to the nearest hundredth. It's only the 10th, so it's fine right there. There's our answer. Here we have 9 is 18% of what? 18 is the percent. It goes over the 100. Of what? Of is our unknown. It's an x. 9 is our is. So we cross multiply this. We get 18x is equal to 900. Divide by 18 to solve here. It's not divided by 100. You're not always dividing by 100. You divide by 18 in this case, and you get x is equal to 50. That's your final answer on that. Excuse me. All right, and the last one here, how much is 25% of 65? Well, again, 25 is the percent. It goes over the 100. The of is the 65. It goes on the bottom. The is our unknown. Now, it's not the word what, but it's asking how much. We know it's our unknown, so it's our x. We cross multiply. We get 100x is equal to 65 times 25, which is 1,625. Don't worry, you can use a calculator for that. Divide by 100, and you get an answer of $16.50. and 25 cents. There was units on that. Our answer should have units of $16.25. Round to the nearest hundredth, it already is. I'll see you in class. We'll be working on workbook pages 19 and 20, the odd number problems, and see you then.